This time. Are you ready for our Indonesian adventure?
Inshallah, we're ready, inshallah.
Said in my pocket, you know it. It's gonna go to $22 into the toll. I mean, alright? Now,
Today, I'll be flying from my hometown of Sydney, Australia to Jakarta, Indonesia, the world's largest city. I'll be flying on Garuda Indonesia in economy class on the Airbus A330-300. The last time I flew with Garuda Indonesia is 2 years ago, and since then so much has changed. But what was it like to fly with them? Come with me as I fly the airline of Indonesia. You might be thinking, why did I choose Garuda Indonesia for this flight? And you're not reviewing this airline again for this experience, right? Let's be honest, my first presentation on this channel was wildly popular. My experience with Garuda Indonesia from December 2023 generated nearly 30,000 views, an exceptional number of viewers for my channel. Not only did it motivate me to recreate this flight experience not even a year after its short form release, but it also incentivized me to develop it into a long form presentation, a complete overview of what to expect when flying with Garuda Indonesia. And Garuda Indonesia is one of the go-to airlines for flying between Australia and Indonesia. My first experience with them was in December 2007. Since then, I've always chosen them over other competitors for my Indonesian adventures. Not because they're affordable for a full-service carrier, but because they consistently deliver a slightly better flying experience almost every time. However, a lot has changed within Garuda Indonesia over the last 2 years, which impacted not only its financial and operational structure, but also its award-winning cabin product. I have modest expectations for this 7.5-hour hop to the world's 4th largest sovereign state. So it's time to find out if this Garuda Indonesia experience stacks up in this post-COVID airline market. Good morning from Sydney's Kingsford Smith International Airport Terminal 1, where all international flights depart. So our check-in procedure is a little bit slow. We arrived at the terminal just before 9:30 p.m. and we waited for around 45 minutes until we finally got ourselves checked in. Garuda Indonesia has check-in desk from area D, and there's actually 3 types of check-in areas. The first, you have like the business, then you have like the economy, and then you have like the Sky Priority or like the special like membership or the Garuda Miles members. Actually, the check-in procedure was quite smooth. It wasn't really chaotic as the last time, and we made it through security in like 15 minutes. So we have at least 2 hours for me to wait and relax until my flight to Jakarta is ready for boarding. Australia has been one of Garuda Indonesia's major international markets. However, the airline existed long before it began serving there in November 1969. The Indonesian government established Garuda as Indonesian Airways, and its first commercial flight took place on January 26, 1949, with a Douglas DC-3 Dakota. The airline acquired the Garuda moniker when it merged with KLM's Intersular subsidiary in December that same year. In its first decade of commercial service, it quickly expanded its route network and introduced new aircraft types such as the Convair 240 turboprop. The 240 enabled Garuda to launch its first international service in 1956, transporting Indonesian pilgrims to Saudi Arabia for the Hajj season. The 1960s marked the beginning of the jet age as Garuda Indonesia unveiled the Convair 990A in 1963. Before Concorde, it was the world's fastest airliner, capable of cruising at nearly 900 kilometers an hour. This is then followed by the Douglas DC-8 2 years later. Both aircraft types enabled Garuda to aggressively expand into Europe, Africa, North Asia, and Australia by the end of the decade. That expansion continued into the 1970s with the replacement of the DC-3 on domestic and international short-haul sectors with the Douglas DC-9 or the Fokker F-28. In fact, Garuda Indonesia was the F-28's largest operator, with a total of 62 aircraft between 1969 and 2001. Garuda also welcomed its first wide-body aircraft, the McDonnell Douglas DC-10 in 1976, and the Boeing 747 in 1979. Garuda Indonesia became an aviation pioneer in the 1980s with the introduction of the industry standard two-pilot variant of the Airbus A300 in 1982. 3 years later, new management embarked on a controversial and expensive corporate rebrand, which gave birth to the signature 5 Winds logogram. This icon became a staple of Garuda that we know today, a symbol of its operational and customer excellence. Garuda Indonesia reached its peak in the early 1990s with the introduction of services to Honolulu and Los Angeles in the United States. Now serving 5 continents, this highlights the airline's dominance in the emerging Southeast Asian aviation industry. But equally important, as a government entity, Garuda is making air travel more affordable and accessible for all Indonesians. However, the good times didn't last forever. What began as an avoidable and preventable fatal accident in 1996 snowballed into a series of catastrophes over the next decade. A financial crisis, terrorist attacks, an epidemic, and one of the world's deadliest natural disasters threatened Garuda's existence. These factors led the airline to terminate most of its international services except for some Asia-Pacific destinations and retire its aged and inefficient fleet to survive financially. At the same time, low-cost carriers began to erode Garuda's monopolistic control of the Indonesian air market, forcing it to introduce CityLink in 2001 to protect its market share. Still, Garuda couldn't stay out of the spotlight for the wrong reasons. In 2007, the European Union banned Garuda as well as all other Indonesian airlines from flying into its airspace. The EU cited Indonesia's limited regulatory oversight and an accident in Yogyakarta earlier that year as contributing factors to its decision to blacklist the nation and its airlines. By 2009, management under the CEO at that time, Shah Sattar, needed substantial and radical change to shake off Garuda Indonesia's damaged and untrustworthy reputation. What happened afterwards changed the airline in the following years, for better and worse, and influenced its flying experience with their national carrier.
Hey Lydia,
Hello, are we?
our flight's ready for boarding.
It is ready. I don't know why everyone's always rushing. We all leave the plane at the same time, so...
Yes, but we're going to be seated. We're going to be boarding at least in the last group.
Yeah, but we all leave on the plane.
What are you doing here, Hikmal?
I'm just trying to make use of the time because we are going to be the last to board because we're in the middle of the plane.
Yes,
So,
I think we're in group 3.
We are, yeah. So.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to wait a little bit longer.
Oh well, what can you do to make use of it? So.
I guess we're going to have to wait a little bit longer then. Good morning.
Good morning, welcome aboard. How was your day? Been
Hey,
so far?
good. Selamat datang.
Selamat datang. This way, go that way.
Thank you. Welcome aboard Garuda Indonesia's Airbus A330-300 in the special 74th anniversary livery. For this flight, I'm flying in economy class. Initially, my ticket assigned me to 32F, a middle seat in the center section of the aircraft. However, there was an empty seat at 32A, which I occupied. I like sitting in window seats like this one because they provide me with an obstructed view of the scenery outside without encroaching on the personal space of other passengers. Most Garuda Indonesia economy class seats on this A330 have a generous 33 inches of legroom, which is above industry average, with a retractable metal footrest for additional comfort. My seat is ergonomically equipped with an adjustable and foldable headrest and reclines with a push of a button for an optimal seating position. The tray table folds in two ways, moves forward and back, and is sturdy enough to hold a larger laptop for working between meal services. Below the table is a literature pocket containing an air sickness bag and printed materials such as this safety instructions card. A coat hood is located between each seat to hold jumpers, jackets, and coats. For electronic devices, universal power outlets are located underneath for charging throughout the flight. All Garuda Indonesia economy class passengers receive a pillow and blanket upon arriving at their seats for a comfortable sleep or nap or to warm up during downtime. However, noticeably absent is an amenity kit. From my previous experience, the kit comes in a bag featuring eye shades, noise deadening earplugs, and a pair of socks. This becomes more apparent later, even on short and medium haul trips where sleeping is at a premium, but that's a different experience for a different time.
Welcome on board Garuda Indonesia. In accordance with civil aviation safety regulations. Before takeoff, we will show you the safety aspects of this aircraft.
During the safety instructions procedure, my aircraft pushed back from gate 33 for departure.
This is a non-smoking flight. Automatically turn on when in water. To attract attention.
Despite the late arrival, the rapid and efficient ground handling meant that it began taxiing towards the runway 10 minutes behind its scheduled departure time. As I flew during the busy Christmas and New Year's holiday period, air traffic was congested at Sydney Airport. Therefore, my aircraft took nearly 30 minutes from leaving the gate to lining up at runway 34 left, where it extended towards its cruising altitude in a northwesterly direction. Garuda Indonesia offers a selection of in-flight entertainment via its large, touch-sensitive screen. The movie selection features a curated lineup of Hollywood, Indonesian, and international films varying by genre, medium, content rating, and duration. There are also select episodes of popular television programs, including an abundance of Pokemon adventures thanks to the airline's creative collaboration with the Pokemon Company. Additionally, you can listen to genre-based smash hits, curated albums from popular Indonesian and international music artists, and soundtracks from feature films and television programs. The most interesting feature of the IFE is a dedicated section called Islamic World. The content was very sparse, but it features a complete audio version of the Quran by As-Sudais, as well as a guide on how to pray using tayammum, which is making ablution without water. No IFE system is complete without an in-flight moving map. It features relevant flight information, including the aircraft's current location, distance to origin and destination, projected flight duration and arrival time, proximity to nearest towns and cities, aircraft speed and altitude, and local times. While the IFE is touch sensitive, a remote with a keyboard exists as an alternative method for navigating this system. You can use the keyboard to search or type something on the IFE. And don't forget about the headphones. Every seat has one, so every passenger can listen to content without disturbance or disruption. An hour into the flight, the cabin crew began distributing bottles of water and refreshing wipes to all passengers in economy class. I like the playful and humorous illustration of the Stahila Lads branded water. This collaboration was part of Garuda Indonesia's commitment to promote local businesses, organizations, and storytelling to a global audience through sponsorship partnerships. A lunchtime meal service followed shortly after. Can I please have the chicken, thank you? On this flight, Garuda Indonesia economy class passengers have two options, chicken or beef. I chose the chicken curry, which comes with roasted vegetables, a bean salad, crackers with cheese, and a slice of cake, though I'm unsure what flavor or type this is. Accompanying this meal is a cup of water. The biggest change in this meal service is that Garuda provides wooden cutlery instead of metal with napkins in a packet. A cabin crew member offers passengers another round of drinks, which I used that time to finish my meal with a cup of orange juice.
So Mom, what do you think about the meal service?
I think overall it's good. The food flavors is good, and yeah.
I think I find the chicken to be moist, just not dry but not moist. I found the vegetables well seasoned. It's very nice to have like cheese and crackers, like it's a snack, and I think the bean salad is very refreshing, very fresh. And although there's a few complaints that I want to address, the cake, I find it a little bit gooey at the bottom, which isn't really that pleasant. And second, with the cutlery, it's actually wooden instead of metal, and it feels premium if you have like metal cutlery, but I think Garuda Indonesia switched it to like wooden cutlery because they just want to maybe reduce weight, and perhaps maybe it would be very easy to dispose it when everyone else is finished eating their meals. But overall, I don't think this meal service is spectacular as my previous Garuda Indonesia experience, but overall it's very solid and it was a very good service.
After the meal service concluded, I visited one of the 6 economy class lavatories inside this aircraft. I found this one to be in decent condition, with ample amounts of soap and paper towels to wash my hands. It's also stocked with other toiletries such as a dental kit and perfumes. Returning to my seat, the cabin lights dimmed for downtime, providing a perfect opportunity for a quick nap as my flight continued to fly over Australia. Now, remember I told you that in 2009, Garuda Indonesia was desperate to repair its damaged and deadly reputation. What happened since then shaped my experience with the airline, for better and worse, stemming from more than a decade of safety and product improvements following the European Union's decision to ban Indonesian airlines from using its airspace. The improvements began with Garuda Indonesia restructuring and auditing its pilot training, maintenance practices, and operational protocols. These methods reduce risky decisions and missteps that would endanger occupants' safety and trust in the airline. By mid-year, the EU lifted Garuda's airspace ban, and management under Ermisha Sattar expedited a 5-year transformation plan, the Quantum Leap, aimed at revitalizing Garuda's business practices and product offerings. New aircraft such as the Airbus A330 and Boeing 737 were introduced, and older aircraft were retired, thus modernizing its fleet. Garuda also expanded its route network, introducing and resuming destinations such as Amsterdam in June 2010. Additionally, the airline introduced new cabin innovations, including lie-flat seats in business class and in-flight entertainment on almost all aircraft. They even introduced new cabin uniforms inspired by Indonesian traditions and lifestyle, such as the batik-inspired sarongs worn by female attendants. The Quantum Leap brought Garuda another change in its corporate identity, retaining some elements of its 1985 design, such as the 5 Winds logogram and house colors. This developed into the Nature Winds branding identity that Garuda's passengers see today, inspired by Indonesia's natural beauty and colorful biodiversity. This refresh included a new logo typeface and a striking aircraft livery with traces of green and blue hues. The impact of Garuda Indonesia's Quantum Leap was immediate and significant. Within a year, it became Skytrax's most improved airline, and over the course of the 2010s, the airline industry hailed them for their remarkable business turnaround, operational efficiency, and award-winning cabin products and hospitality. By the start of the 2020s, Garuda Indonesia is not only a 5-star airline, but also one of the world's most punctual airlines, while consistently loved by travelers regardless of nationality. However, the Quantum Leap era is remembered more for its failures than successes. In 2012, Garuda Indonesia attempted to expand into smaller or secondary Indonesian markets under the Explore sub-brand and its fleet of regional aircraft. This venture became a costly endeavor as its infrequent services weren't profitable enough for their high capital costs. A year later, Garuda introduced the Boeing 777 as its flagship aircraft, only to discover that it was too heavy for non-stop flights to Europe. This added unwanted operational complexity, customer confusion, and more financial losses. In retrospect, the Quantum Leap is a cautionary tale of an airline trying to fulfill ambitious intentions but inept in execution due to corrupt leadership and miscalculations in their strategic targets, particularly towards Qatar. In 2020, an Indonesian court found him guilty of committing bribery and money laundering during Garuda's aircraft procurement process. This crime would cost Garuda $610 million between 2014 and 2019, as its successors struggled to adapt to the high cost of maintaining aircraft not suited to the airline's operational needs. These losses were exacerbated by the arrival of COVID-19 in 2020, resulting in a near total grounding of operations and leaving Garuda with billions of dollars of debt. In 2022, a central Jakarta district court approved Garuda's PKPU proceedings, clearing billions of liabilities from the airline's balance sheet. A capital injection from Downtime Indonesia a month before my flight removed all remaining debt at the expense of private investors. By then, Garuda Indonesia was a shadow of its former self, operating with 2/3 the size of its pre-COVID aircraft fleet. It no longer serves some international destinations such as London, Osaka, and Beijing, and almost all routes are flying with half or a fraction of their original frequency. Additionally, it lost market share to the Lion Air Group domestically, as well as foreign carriers internationally during the restructuring process, forcing Garuda to rebuild its customer base with fewer resources compared to its competitors. The Quantum Leap shook off Garuda Indonesia's troubled past, yet at the same time pushed it to the brink of collapse. As the airline clears most of its financial turbulence, the biggest challenge is whether its new management is competent enough to return it to profitability without causing controversy. Indonesia is notorious for its corporate and government misadventures, and Garuda has been in some of them. Time will tell if the airline can correct itself, but it's a long way from other Southeast Asian carriers, which have since mostly recovered from their COVID downturns in an improved state than Garuda. I woke up from my hour-long nap with my aircraft flying above the Northern Territory and Western Australia. Jakarta is 3 hours away, so I spent some of that time reading over the duty-free catalogue. Garuda shop offers a range of high-end products, such as clothing, accessories, perfumes, technology, a limited selection of edibles, and even a model of one of Garuda's Pikachu jets. You can purchase from the catalog by asking with your cabin crew, who will arrange your order. However, these products are also available at Garuda Indonesia's sales offices and its official website. Garuda Indonesia also publishes a monthly magazine, Colors, featuring stories on current travel trends, culinary recommendations, and destination features highlighting cities and regions currently served by the airline. You can view its current and previous editions online, for which I left the link in the descriptions. At the time of this flight, Garuda published its December publication. The flavors section showcases traditional Indonesian dishes for the Christmas holidays. These include ayam reka-reka, ikan woku belanga, lapis legit, and es manado. The highlight of this edition, in my opinion, is the destination section, specifically a feature on Jakarta. Aside from its signature landmark, the National Monument, or Monas, Jakarta offers a variety of local attractions such as Gelora Bung Karno Sports Complex, Hotel Indonesia Runabout, Block M, and Pantai Indah Kapuk. As I mentioned earlier, Jakarta is the world's largest metropolis with a population of 41 million. However, it is currently Indonesia's national capital and the operating headquarters for Garuda Indonesia. Garuda serves nearly 50 domestic and international routes from Soekarno-Hatta International Airport Terminal 3. That includes Sydney, which had its frequency upgraded to 6 weekly flights in time for the northern winter season, wrapping up to daily flights on busy holiday periods. This is in addition to the daily flights to Bali, which, like Jakarta, are mostly operated by an Airbus A330. An hour later, the cabin crew began handing out snacks and another round of drinks. I got a tub of vanilla gelato, which I paired with a cup of espresso. Initially, the gelato was rock solid and the coffee was hot. However, my mother asked me if I should mix both of them. Not only did it soften the gelato, but it also cuts the sweetness of the former and the bitterness of the latter. It's a very ingenious idea to solve one of the most frequent complaints of airplane food, and it still amazes me why frequent flyers and other travelers don't use this method often.
So Mom, what do you think about the flight?
Good.
I think the flight is good. The cabin crew is very friendly, very attentive, and they show excellent Indonesian hospitality. I found the seats to be very comfortable. The tray table, the IFE system, even the headrest, they work perfectly fine. I think the selection of IFE is quite decent for this flight, although I find it very interesting to have like an Islamic section on the IFE system. I wish they could just probably expand like more content so that not only that there's more options for people to listen to music, watch movies and television, and also do some very spiritual deeds like reading the Quran, watching Islamic stories and principles, so that not only to understand about the religion but also to help become like better Muslims, especially when going on like adventures like this. I would say that the Garuda Indonesia experience compared to my last experience, it was great. It's almost the same as the flight that I took 2 years ago. I think what Garuda Indonesia needs is a lot of financial help. Unfortunately, they've recently got an injection of money from Downtime Indonesia to help them bolster the finances. They got like new management to help lead the airline in this post-COVID and post-restructuring period. They got more focus on strengthening its existing domestic and international routes, like improving connectivity. I think Garuda Indonesia can succeed if they could get the strategy correct. This airline has like a bad history of like management and finances, and hopefully that this new management can lead this airline to like a stable and sustainable future that not only helps them thrive but also become one of the best airlines in the world and serve Indonesia, connecting Indonesian communities one flight at a time, and not only introduce to the world this beautiful Indonesian hospitality, but also connect Indonesia in ways that would not have been accessible in other means of transport.
So, how much do you expect to pay for this Garuda Indonesia experience? I booked 5 or 10 economy class tickets with the Eco Promo fare, the cheapest of the 3 bundles. This set me back 4,903 Australian dollars, or roughly $980 per person, excluding the additional seat selection charge. For Garuda Miles members, a round trip from Sydney to Jakarta or vice versa will earn you 2,052 miles, which is 30% of the actual two-way distance between these cities. Metrics aside, Garuda Indonesia wasn't the cheapest full-service carrier to fly from Sydney to Jakarta. However, at the time, it was the most affordable full-service airline flying non-stop between these cities. The fact that I got more for less, or nowadays the same price as Qantas, which also competes directly with them while flying in, theoretically, a superior economy class seat, is why I chose Garuda Indonesia for my recent Indonesian adventures. I won't hesitate to fly with them again, especially between Australia and Asia, if they offer their services affordably and efficiently, with operational and cabin product improvements compared to their rivals. I'm happy to return to Indonesia after 2 years, and I can't wait to showcase brand new experiences with you on this channel. From shopping malls and mountainous views, to delicious cuisine and village living, this archipelago is nothing short of fun, color, and amazement. If you have made it to the end of this presentation, don't forget to smash the like button. Your support will help me create better and more impactful content, not just limited to airline experiences. And remember, you can also subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon to get notified on my next adventure.
Terima kasih. Selamat jalan. Welcome to Soekarno-Hatta International Airport Terminal 3, the gateway of Indonesia.
Creating long-form content takes time and effort, so while you wait for the next one, why not dive into my series of bite-sized Indonesian adventures from my previous visit? I recommend watching a video of my Bandung street food experience, or me riding on one of Indonesia's ubiquitous public transport vehicles, the humble angkot.